I have two S23 Ultras, one on May, the other on June. I finally got the massive update last week, so it's time to see what's new and pit May versus June in an ultimate camera battle. Let's go. Welcome back everyone to Tech with Benefits, Daniel here. It's widely known that Samsung, once they release a device, they refine it and push updates to it over its lifespan to really refine and optimize its camera in particular. They learn from consumer behavior and consumer use patterns to make sure the devices get optimized for how we're actually using our phones instead of how they think we're using it before they release a phone to the wild. The June update, which has been much spoken about on Twitter, finally made its way to Australia after multiple setbacks due to reported bugs. Hey everyone, Future Dan here. While I've been editing, I have received the Galaxy S23 Ultra July update. This is a security update which patches a lot of bugs that were present in the June one, and it came out relatively quickly after. There is absolutely no changes other than bugs and security vulnerabilities. So that's all there is. You can continue watching this and it makes sense. Enjoy. And I've had the chance to test it out and see what it's all about. This video, we're going to look and break it down into three different parts. Firstly, I want to take a bit of a look at the, cosmetic or UI changes, because there is a couple that we'll need to be aware of just from a visual point of view that adds features that we can see. Then we're going to break it down and look at a bit of a photo comparison. Now, I don't want to dump a whole bunch of photos and go like, these look the same. So I'm going to try and make this be a little bit more about what's different versus what looks the same. And then at the end, we'll just take a look at the video comparison if there's been any updates to that. So when you do update the phone, the thing you'll notice is, well, there's not really much more that's different. Whilst some app versions have got some updates and they have new numbers attached to them, the bulk of this update comes from the camera. There's some minor updates in the gallery, little things like you can now bulk delete motion photos out of there, which is a really neat little feature if you're someone who uses motion photos a lot. But in the camera app, and more specifically as well the camera assistant app, there is three main things that you will notice immediately upon launching it. The most obvious one is inside portrait mode. Samsung has added in a 2x portrait crop in addition to the 1x and the 3x. Samsung did have this feature a while back when they first introduced the S20 Ultra. The 2x crop came in from that massive 108 megapixel camera. However, it did not use the 108 megapixels to do that. It just cropped in from 12 and the results weren't great. So they dropped it. So with this update here, Samsung bringing in the 2x, there's a bit of a difference now. They actually are using better technology to crop in to that 2x. And the results speak for themselves. You can see here that the 1x and the 2x are very on par with their quality level. So obviously it's using the same camera, it's just cropping in that 2x. So when you do actually crop in on the 2x photo, it looks very comparable to when you crop in to the 1x. Now, we can't really compare this to the May update because the May one does not have the 2x option. So it only has the 1x and the 3x. So it wouldn't be fair to really compare the two there. I do, however, prefer the 3x crop purely because they've optimized it for portraits really nicely. You can see when you do go into that 3x, it's taking advantage of the 3x telephoto, and the quality and the way it's optimized for portraits in particular do make it stand out compared to the 2x in particular. That being said, having more choice when it comes to portrait shots is better than having less choice. So having a 1x, a 2x, and a 3x, I'm all for. So kudos to Samsung here. The reason why that we're able to get that better 2x crop with portrait is down to the technology that Samsung implemented last year with the S22 Ultra in using a high resolution to crop in. But we'll get to that a little bit later in the video. The other two noticeable cosmetic or visual changes, I guess you'd call them, is inside the camera assistant, and they both pertain to the high resolution modes with the S23 Ultra. The May S23 Ultra has one less option and one more option. So you'd think it would balance out, but they actually aren't the same thing. So with the May one, you'll notice that there is inside the capture speed menu setting, there is a option for high resolution to change the different settings. However, on the June update, that's not there. But in the June update, you see a new toggle that's appeared in the main camera assistant menu called Adaptive Pixel. Let's give a bit of a history lesson. Adaptive Pixel was introduced back with the S22 Ultra from last year. The way it works is it takes a lower resolution image and a high resolution image and merges them together to give you a bright, optimized, more detailed photo. The reason why I did this is I guess people were complaining in previous generations that high resolution wasn't great in lower light situations, and they have a fantastic point. That 100% was the case. So Samsung, with the high resolution modes only, does not work in 12 megapixel mode. They continued that with the S23 Ultra, and it was inbuilt and baked in. There was no need to turn it on or off. Not to be confused with the detail enhancer that the S22 Ultra introduced. That just became baked in to the S23 Ultra. There's not even a toggle for that, like there still is on the S22 Ultra. So with the Adaptive Pixel, for some reason, Samsung has decided to give us an option inside Camera Assistant to toggle it on or off. And I don't understand why. Let's dive in and take a bit of a look and try and figure it out. So when you see here, it tells you what Adaptive Pixel is for. It tells you it's to enhance lower light situations for high resolution photos. Fantastic. So when that's turned on and you can see in lower light situations, we'll start there, you can see the difference. Like, it is literally night and day at nighttime. So the Adaptive Pixel turned off, you can see that photo and a couple of photos. I'll put up a bunch of them at the same time. You can see, you can't see. I think that's the point. The Adaptive Pixel turned on, immediately everything becomes clear because it is using both the 12 and the 200 combined together. Cool. The next advantage too is your preview window gets better, because with Adaptive Pixel turned off, you can't see anything in high resolution when it's really, really dark. Okay, cool. I'll just leave it on for nighttime. Next, I wanted to see what the other benefits potentially for this toggle existing might be, because I was struggling, especially considering it was baked into the software. There was no need to think about it. It did it all for you. I went and tried it in daytime situations. So when there's plenty of light around, surely there must be some advantage to this then. Maybe turning it off makes the photo more detailed because you don't have to deal with the merging situation. Okay, we'll try that too. I took a bunch of photos outdoors, both with the Adaptive Pixel on and Adaptive Pixel off. And as you can see now on the screen, there is no difference. I'm showing you cropped in parts as well, and you literally cannot see next to each other any difference whatsoever. For fun, I tried a 200 megapixel photo with the May update of the S23 Ultra, and that's got Adaptive Pixel on, and again, there is no difference. They are the same photos. So I'm like, well, why is this? And the thing is, like, when you take a normal 12 megapixel photo, you can see I've got a 12 megapixel versus 200 with Adaptive Pixel on here. The 12 megapixel easily accounts for it when it comes to better shadow control, better HDR. It's entirely a better experience. So I'm like, well, it's not making the 200 megapixel better in that way. So what is the point? And then it hit me, file size. Last year when they talked about Adaptive Pixel, it was about reducing the file size of the high resolution photos. That's got to be it. Maybe they want to give people the option to have a bigger file size. Sure, could be the case. But when I looked at all the examples, there was on average a 1 to 2 megabyte difference between Adaptive Pixel on and Adaptive Pixel off. So what? Why is it there? My thought is maybe they just wanted to have it more in the face of people. Be spoken about on Twitter, because it's pretty much what people were speaking about when it came to this June update. Make people be aware of what it does. That's just my opinion though. I genuinely have no idea. So if you know, and you are in the know, potentially leave me a comment below explaining it, and I'll maybe pin it to the top if it's the right one. Doing videos like this means I go out and about using my phone everywhere. And the thing about using your phone outdoors is accidents can happen. As I have already experienced this year, how I broke my S23 Ultra. I made a video about that earlier on. So that's where sponsors like MagBak come into play to help you protect your devices when you get out and about. MagBak sent me over their S23 Ultra MagSafe compatible case alongside the MagBak wallet. Starting with the case, it provides 360-degree drop protection and has been drop tested to a height of 6 feet. It has a soft touch grip with the lip that is raised above the display to protect it. It also has my preferred camera protection around the back. It supports mobile payments, S Pen, and wireless charging, even though it has 9 embedded magnets with 2-layer shielding inside it. I don't own a MagSafe charger, but the magnets in here can be used in so many other ways. I really like to stick it to the fridge so I can continue to have my hands free for cooking. It is so strong that it won't move even if you have to open the door. Included in the box is the Mag Stick, which allows you to effectively mount the MagBak S23 Ultra case anywhere. The MagBak wallet is the perfect solution to keep your pockets empty and house everything in one side of your pants. Especially with mobile payments becoming the standard. Simply put your other important cards, slap it on the back, and you are on your way. Side benefit, the MagBak wallet can act as a kickstand to help you watch your favorite creators. Now it's your turn to grab one for yourself. Use the code TECHWITHBENEFITS15 to get 15% off your own MagBak case and wallet using the link in the description. Thank you to MagBak for sponsoring this video. So that's the cosmetic features out of the way. Let's dive in and see what the improvements are when it comes to taking photos. Because again, that's something that's been spoken about. So let's go in and really try and focus on what the differences are here. The thing is, I tested a lot of things. I tested all of the different cameras. I tested a number of different modes, and majority, there was no real improvement or difference. I tested the zoom. I tested the range from 3 to 100. I tested night mode. I tested so many different things, and I think as you can see, there is absolutely zero difference. And that's a good thing, because the cameras were already good, the capability was already good, there was potentially slight improvements that need to be made in certain areas. And I tried for hours to find these differences, and eventually I got there. Rather than standing here and showcasing to you hundreds of photos side by side that have absolutely zero difference, I thought I'd isolate it down to the two main differences that I found. Two main improvements, I guess I could say, between the May update and the June one. Let's take a look. The first one I noticed, and this took a long time, it's how it actually handles tricky lighting situations, particularly when you have a really strong sunlight sort of poking through sort of gaps in trees. When I was out and about today, I saw that. I went, bing! I've got two photos here side by side, and when you isolate two areas that I'll showcase to you, you can really see where the actual subtle but very real improvements have been made. Right up in the trees, you'll see where the sunlight is sort of pushing through, where the S23 Ultra in May actually really kind of clipped the highlights and kind of overexposed it a little bit, whereas the June update really did control it really nicely, and you actually see some definition in the clouds as it's sort of floating through in that same area. And the second part of this photo that I really want to focus on is the grass area. Again, same sort of problem with the May update, is that the grass area kind of almost has this like sheen or shimmer to it that makes it look like it's glistening in a way. That's not what was happening. Whereas the June update, you can see it's really controlled it and actually made it look green like grass and not like green with a tinge of, I guess, gold or yellow sort of hovering over it. They're the two things that I picked up on from this photo that I think will definitely make a big difference moving forward with handling this type of shot and making it more of a visual pleasing aesthetic when you're looking back at them later. And the second major difference I noticed was in the 2x sensor crop. But this annoyed me. So let's get, okay. Last year when Samsung brought out the S23 Ultra, they actually brought out that sensor cropping feature from the high resolution into 2x to make it a way more detailed zooming experience across multiple different zoom ranges. That existed. And the difference from S22 Ultra to S21 Ultra was staggering. There was a massive jump forward when it came to the different zoom ranges you could use thanks to that technology that the S22 Ultra brought out. Problem was, no one was speaking about it, including Samsung. You only really had to be in the know to know that was there. Apple introduced it with the iPhone 14 Pro. Everyone's swooning, losing their minds, praising them for how well they've brought this feature to market. And it took a year and a half for an update to a phone that already had it for people thinking it's being optimized for them to finally be talking about it. The thing is though, the May update was already good. You can see here next to each other, there's really only like splitting hairs difference. It is different, there is an improvement, but you really have to be looking for it to know it's there. You'll be perfectly happy if you choose not to update your phone, although I don't recommend doing that, if you happen to take a photo with the May update in the 2x zoom range. I'm assuming a lot of you probably want to know about the shutter speed. I'm not one of those people that ever thought there was a problem. I really didn't think anything was wrong with how it captured photos or how fast it captured photos before. Obviously the camera assistant toggles are great for people who want to use them. I myself keep it on prioritizing quality. I know what Samsung are trying to do here, and I much prefer to keep it in that realm. I've never been one for someone who thinks it's okay to just smash the shutter button and it just repeats the same photo a million times, clogging up your gallery. But if you must know, there is a slight, all but not really massive improvement on May update into June. You can see it side by side here. It is negligible at best, but there is something there, so I thought I may as well share it because you might want to know. Now, I cleared room for this video to talk about Expert RAW. However, just as I was about to write out what I wanted to talk about and actually do a photo comparison, I noticed something on Twitter that there's a new version of Expert RAW that I don't have yet. To make sure the proper information gets given, I've chosen to leave it out. So I'll hold off on that one. Let me know if you'd like to hear about it. Maybe I'll do something on my Twitter or my threads. Go follow me. Now, this last section I put aside for video. But if I'm being honest, there's actually zero improvements to video, nor did there need to be. The reason why I've kept it in here is just because when you do the update, there is some orange dots above some of the video functions, like portrait video, for example. The UHD thing's always been there, but there was an orange dot that maybe indicated that it had more to it, but I haven't found it. So I've tried it. I tried stabilization next to the May update, and as you can see, they're the same. There is no difference, and that's a good thing. The May update, the video was already good. It's just kept it and maintained that path. Here's the thing. There are lots of chatter on Twitter every time Samsung does its update process. Everybody says, this is the one that'll fix the camera. Like the camera needs fixing every single month. There's nothing wrong with it. It has everything inside of it for anyone to be able to take advantage of. Every setting, every mode, every feature you could possibly think of that you would need as a smartphone photographer or videographer, it's housed in there. And I actually have a video on that, so make sure you go check that out. It just goes into detail into everything you can do, and it's so vast and so expansive that every time someone says something's wrong with it, I lose my mind. That's it for this week. There is lots of exciting stuff upcoming. I am very pumped for the next 6 months of this year with everything that Samsung's probably got planned. We have a date for Unpacked, so that's exciting. 26th of July in Korea, they are unpacking what is likely to be a whole series of devices, but that's probably not going to be the end of it this year. There's rumors of the S23 FE, Tab S9 FE, and all that sort of stuff coming alongside later in the year as well. So if you want to be in the know, you should subscribe. Hit the subscribe button below, and then go and hit the like button on this video as well. And then I guess I'll see you in next week's video. Between now and then, come find me on Twitter, Instagram, and my newly formed Threads account. It's the same handle as my Instagram account, so you just have to search for me on Threads using that, and you'll find me. I'll see you next week. Yo!